What if I told you that your failure last night did not cancel God's promise for today? What if I told you that God's faithfulness doesn't depend on your consistency? What if you walked away, but God did not? The Bible dares to ask a bold question in Romans chapter 3, verse 3. What if some were unfaithful? And then it gives an even bolder answer. Does that cancel God's faithfulness? Not at all. Let's dive into that verse. Romans 3:3 says, what if some were unfaithful? Does their unfaithfulness nullify the faithfulness of God? Not at all. In this passage, the Apostle Paul is speaking to people who were very confident in their religion, their tradition, and their heritage. But behind this verse is a much deeper, more personal fear, a question that I think many of us have asked. And it's this: if I fail God, will God fail me? Maybe that's your question today. Let's be honest for a moment. Some were unfaithful, and the Bible isn't talking about atheists here. It's not talking about outsiders. It's talking about God's own people. Unfaithfulness isn't always some huge, dramatic rebellion. Sometimes it looks like promising to pray for someone, but then forgetting. It looks like knowing what the right thing to do is, but still choosing the wrong thing. It looks like loving God in your heart, but finding yourself slowly drifting away. The Bible never denies or sugarcoats human failure. It's honest about our struggles. But I want you to listen very carefully to this in Scripture. Our failure never gets the final word. The turning point comes in the very next verse. Romans 3-4 continues, let God be true and every man a liar. What does that mean? It means God is faithful by his very nature. It's who he is. God is faithful by covenant. He keeps his promises. God is faithful by his character. He is unchanging. So here's the truth you need to hear today. Our faith may falter, but God's faithfulness never, ever fails. Think about it. Abraham lied, but God still kept his promise to him. Israel rebelled in the desert, but God stayed with them. Peter denied Jesus 3 times, but Jesus sought him out and restored him. Why? Because God does not stop being faithful just because we stop being faithful. So, let me ask you 3 questions. Be honest with yourself. First, have you been measuring God's love for you by your own performance? Second, have you mistaken God's loving discipline for abandonment? And third, have you believed the lie that says, I failed, so God is finished with me? If that's you, I want you to hear this clearly. Your unfaithfulness might affect your sense of fellowship with God, but it does not erase his faithfulness to you. God's faithfulness is not based on your perfection. It is based entirely on his perfect character. There's another incredible verse in 2 Timothy 2:13 that says, if we are faithless, he remains faithful, for he cannot deny himself. God doesn't wake up in the morning and decide whether or not to love you today. He already made that decision on the cross. Your past failure does not surprise God. Your present struggle does not scare God, and your future is still held securely by a faithful God. So you see, the big question isn't really, what if we are unfaithful? The real question is, will you return to a faithful God? Because human failure never cancels divine faithfulness. If this message blessed you today, please share it with someone who needs to hear it. And remember this truth: God is faithful even when we are not.